Hello, it's yet another Kiwi again. How are you all today? New Zealand time, it's Monday morning, 10
Hello, it's yet another
a.m.
Kiwi again.
Whoopsies, hang on a minute.
How are you all today?
Hush up that other thing. I'm just hearing myself and I don't. Well, yeah, that's enough. Don't need to hear myself. Anyway, as I said, Monday morning, New Zealand time. It's a sunny morning, but cold. See, cold. And I've got a heat pump on. Eventually it's going to get warm, I know it is. I'm trying to stream, but I don't know how successful it's going to be, with the curtain partially open, so that it gets some light and warmth in here. If it becomes a big problem, I'll that's a bit better, isn't it? Yeah, if it becomes a big problem, I'll close it, but it lets the warmth in because the sun's coming from more or less that direction. It is something you might not know. I have mentioned it before, but I can remember because yes, I live in New Zealand, but I'm married to a Texan, and I lived in Texas for a couple of years, 2.5 years, and I discovered something I never knew, and you might not know. In Texas and America and the Northern Hemisphere in general, the sun, okay, it's never high in the sky, right? It's never right above. The sun is slightly to the south. It rises in the east, sets in the west, blah, blah. Okay, that's normal to you, but it was not normal to me. And I'm like, pardon me? North is that way and the sun is. Wait a minute. That's when I discovered, if you think about it, it makes complete sense, but it didn't at the time. In the southern hemisphere, our sun is more to the north because the sun doesn't move. It's just you're looking at the sun from different parts of the earth. Now, you may not have known that. I didn't know that. But in the northern hemisphere, the sun is not overhead but slightly to the south. And in the southern hemisphere, it's slightly to the north. Now, to me, that was quite bizarre. Um, maybe you all knew that. I didn't. I'm like, sun's in the wrong place. What's going on? Anyway, so the sun is slightly that way, which from where I'm sitting is approximately north. And it's lower in the sky at the moment because we're just coming to the end of winter. Yay! I rejoice when we get to the end of winter. I do not like winter. I do not like the cold. It's horrible. I don't like the feeling of cold on my skin. Nah. Um, Not so bad when you don't have to go out. And I remember the days when I used to go and have to catch the train at 3 o'clock in the morning. It was still dark. There's frost on the ground. I'm like, yeah. Milo cup today. Not Milo. Coffee. But hey, the cup. Hey, you find all kinds of weird cups. Anyway, just drinking my second cup of coffee for the day. Thought, hey, quiet morning. I hope. The phone's going to go. You know that, eh? Right? The phone's going to go. But it's a relatively quiet morning. I thought, right, I've got some knitting to do. I may as well do it and see if there's anybody around who'd like to have a chat while I do so. If you recall, and if you don't recall, that doesn't matter because I will remind you, I was making a daddy pig. He's got a little bit of a problem at the moment. He doesn't have his other leg and his face is not complete. And I'm just keeping that there because that's a mark of the centre of the face, so I can get the eyes on even sides. Last time I was here, I finished off doing the eyes and the glasses. In fact, I've put most of them together, even though some of it had already been knitted. And the very last thing I did was knit the other leg and point out that it will go there, and then I'll knit a foot, which I'm going to do in a moment. Well, technically it's a shoe. Okay? So I need to do that. I need to do his face. Oh, and I need to knit his tail. He hasn't got a tail. Pink. Oh, there's the pink. There's the pink. This is called Peppa Pig Pink in my house because all the piggies are made out of the same colour. So I have to go to a particular shop to get that. They don't sell it everywhere, but in that shop they do. Anyway, so I'm just going to continue to do this, and you see I've put up a picture there. I had really difficult job trying to get a photo of that hat, which came from the internet. Tried to take a photo of. Okay, I know there's a clever way. I didn't know what it was. Of getting that photo there from the internet, and I'm like, is it really true? So I printed it and took a photo. Well, no, I tried lots of ways. I tried to take a picture on the screen. That did not work, and you all know why, because it all had the pixels and all that stuff. So I printed it off and took a photo of that. It's not brilliant, but it'll do. And I'm going to make that today later on. I was going to use a very dark blue, but I think I'll use this light blue. I might use both, huh? I might too. Increasingly, people are looking at adult hats at my market stall as well as children's hats, but I find that they like a pattern on it, so that's why I'm going to do that little cable pattern. For reasons completely unknown to me, it's called a gingerbread hat. Ooh, I didn't make it up. Anyway, so I got some of these at our local craft slash, I don't know what kind of store you call it. A lot of crafty stuff, sewing stuff, knitting stuff, kitchen stuff, bed stuff. Oh, I don't know what kind of store you call it. Find out what kind of store they call it. Its name is Spotlight. Stocks a lot of stuff. But that's where I get a lot of my yarn from. Especially Peppa Pig Pink. Other ones I tend to go to the $2 stores into $2 stores, and just get, whatever colour I can get because they're a bit cheaper. Even now and again I can get them at Spotlight just as cheap. And I got a bag of 5, I think it was, of this colour, and I thought, hey, one, there's quite a lot of it, and I could make a hat or a jumper or a, not for an adult, but for kids. And it's pretty close to George Pig tummy colour. Well, that's how I see colours. Because I make a lot of pigs, see? Right there, hang on. I can point it there. There's Daddy Pig, which is what I'm making now. I can't point any further. And there's George Pig and Peppa Pig and Mummy Pig. So that's Mummy Pig orange dress, that's Peppa Pig red dress, that's Peppa blue, roughly, for George Pig. And this is not Daddy Pig green. This is a bit too green. Now the colour that I can see on the screen now is about right. This is a bit too green. But it will be instantly recognisable as a Daddy Pig, and that's what really matters. So next time I go to Spotlight, I did not get this from Spotlight, this one, this green. Next time I go to Spotlight, I'll have to try and find Daddy Pig green. I know it's not an official colour, but it is in my house. Anywho, done his leg, now I need to do a foot. So I'll just do that in a moment. Now I've got the black, I've got my needles, so I will just sort that. Somebody went ding dong, just making sure it's not an important message, which it's not. Go away, see you later. Just sometimes I've got to be careful in case an important message does come through, but it's not one of them. Okie doke. Like sometimes I get calls and messages from the rest home when my mother is, and if it's important, I do need to be able to quickly check. Anyway, enough of that. Right, Daddy Pig foot. So I've got black, and it's going to go on the end of the little leg, and it's only 10 rows, so it won't take me very long at all. So I cast on 9. I'm using double knit or 8 ply, sort of. I've come to the conclusion that not every shop has the same size yarn when they call it the same thing. What's that about? That's irritating, right? Anyway, so cast on, what did I say? I didn't. These are number 10s, yes. Well, actually, funnily enough, they're not. They're actually 3.25, which is the same thing. 3.25 millimeters. Most of the ones I use often, I know. How many did I say? 9. Now this yarn's annoying. Every now and again, yes, it's cheap. Well, inexpensive, but it's still good. Every now and again, there's a bit of a lump, and that's Need to remove some of that because I don't need lumpy things. Just a little bit of extra fluff on the edge. I'm just making it tidier. I don't need to really, but I like them to look nice, especially when they're for sale. 246, 789. So yes, this is an unusual time for me to stream. I'm looking at maybe doing this New Zealand time Monday morning because it's usually quiet. Grandkiddos are at school. Everybody else is not making a lot of racket. Rooster NZ, who's my husband, doesn't stream usually on a Monday. In fact, he's not in the room at the moment, which is why it's quiet. No, I'm just being silly. But sometimes he likes to play games, trucking and farming and things, and often, in fact usually, he gets on something else, Skype or Discord or something, and chats with somebody else who may or may not be playing the same game. So that can get quite noisy. He's not up and not sitting at the computer at the moment, so I'm not getting in his way of his game. Tuesday, Wednesday morning, I'm busy, and Rooster usually does stream Tuesday, Wednesday morning New Zealand time. Thursday morning, sometimes I will. It really depends. But today was very cool this morning. Looking outside, there's a bit of a breeze. That tree out there next door is blowing around. Really, really tall tree next door. And it's blowing around a bit. I tell you what, when I was out this morning, the wind was quite cold. It was off the snow. We're at the end of winter here. No, snow's miles away. The snow's, how many hour drive? Depends who's driving. 4 hour drive away. But when the wind blows from that direction, it can be quite cool, and it was this morning. Standing in the sun out of the wind was quite nice, but the wind was quite cool. However, it was a clear sky, and which means it's going to be, one hopes, a lovely sunny day. It is right this winter. It's a beautiful sunny day outside. I can see lovely blue skies. We're, as I say, coming towards the end of our winter in the southern hemisphere. The northern hemisphere, of course, you're coming towards the end of your summer. You'll be going into autumn or fall, as a lot of you call it. Called autumn down here. So, just knitting a daddy pig foot. Sounds hilarious, but that's exactly what I'm doing. And knitting in black is quite interesting. I haven't been counting because I've been talking. But trying to count the stitches. See, in black, it's really hard to see the rows. Any knitter will tell you that. I think it's actually probably just as difficult in crochet, truth be known. 1, 2, 3, 6. So that's 6. So I need 3 more. No, I need 4 more. So I've done the other foot. So this is the second foot of the daddy pig. I make the piggies quite a bit because they sell quite well on the market stall. If you have a look at my photos, just a quick hello to anybody who's popping in and out, or if you've decided to have a look after my stream is finished and find out what that crazy Kiwi was up to today. Well, as it says, I am knitting a daddy pig who is the father of Peppa Pig. If you don't know the Peppa Pig series, Google will tell you as much as you need to know. And it's a cartoon type thing for, well, I was going to say children, but Peppa Pig herself is about 4, and her brother George is 2. They don't age, of course, otherwise it wouldn't make any sense. They couldn't keep going to kindy and such like. Is that what they call it? No, what do they call it? Not play school, play group. Although, if you watch Peppa Pig later on, she does go to school. And George is still in playgroup. Hey, you end up talking about them like they're real. I was watching Peppa Pig probably 7, 8 years ago, or 2 or 3 years or more. with the grandkiddos, and that's how I got to know them. And I thought one day, hey, wonder if you could knit a Peppa Pig. Of course, I thought that, very common, popular toy. Even now at Christmas time and at other times of the year, you find in toy stores, you'll find Peppa Pig this, Peppa Pig that, Peppa Pig other stuff. So I thought I can jump on that bandwagon. And I knitted a Peppa Pig, a very large Peppa Pig. I'll show you one day. It's over in the toy box over there, but west for wear. And hello, he's a rooster. He's headed for the coffee pot, of course. Comes out into the kitchen and heads for the coffee pot. I'm making a daddy pig, rooster. Don't care, he says. Let me in my coffee. So yeah, I ended up finding a Peppa Pig pattern on the internet, and lifted that up. It was huge. I thought, oops, it's a bit big. I don't really want it that big. So I changed the size of the needles. They were number 8s, so now I'm using 10s. And I changed the pattern, and there you go, Peppa Pig. I made the rows and stitches half of what the pattern was. It made it somewhat smaller. So Peppa Pig is, don't have one right here, about the same size as this mouse, give or take. This is one of the mice I've just been making. The Peppa Pig's around about that big, sort of. And compared with the Daddy Pig, it's about half the size. Well, it is half the size, see? Anyways, I've just finished knitting this foot, so I've just gathered up the end there, and I'll sew it up. With the Peppa Pig feet, I don't put any stuffing in, they're quite small, but with these ones, which are roughly 1.5 times the size, because I rewrote the pattern that way. See? Tucked it all up. With these ones, I do put a little bit of stuffing in, just to keep it a little bit firm. Saw, I've got the mic on. Saw Lady Pretty and Lady Frenzy on this morning, and a couple of other people playing. What were they doing? They were crafting. I couldn't see if they were all doing the same thing. It was very brief, quick look that I did. But one of them was painting some little flower thing. They were all doing it together. There was about 6 of them. It was pretty hard to listen to because they all talked at the same time. But they seem to be enjoying it. I see that a couple of them are still on stream at the moment, on their own stream, not together with someone else. A couple of people that I follow, Lady Pretty and Lady Frenzy, they do all kinds of different things, including crafting, which is where I met them. On here, doing crochet and knitting and diamond painting. Diamond painting, I think, is what I first saw them doing. I think it was, because I'd never seen diamond painting before. It's been around a while, apparently, but I hadn't seen it. Try and make sure that has roughly the same amount of stuffing. Probably nobody in the world would ever notice, but I do. There we go. So just a little bit of stuffing, just to make it a little bit firm. Otherwise it would be a bit, not firm. Just finished making the little foot for the steady pig, and sewing up the other leg, which that foot's going to go on the end of. So just gathering up the bottom bit. At the bottom, this is the bottom, this is the top of the leg. So just run the needle through there and gather up the bottom. Make it a bit of a rounded shape for the bottom of the leg, rather than straight. Sew that down, and then just sew up. I'll go through the fold a bit, so it's twice as thick. Then just sew the rest of the leg up. Just sewing up this leg. Just about finished the daddy pig. Just got to finish this leg. Make a tail. Sew that up. Put the tail on. Mustn't forget the tail. I'll do the tail after this. In fact, what I'll do, the minute I've done this leg, I will make the tail. I'll get the pink yarn, put it there to remind me, make the tail. Ooh. I come to the conclusion when I'm making the pepper pig ones that are a bit smaller, it's a bit easier. I don't know why I didn't think of it before, but anyway, I didn't until recently. To sew them up on the right side and just use a stitch, which is blanket stitch, to make it not so obviously the seams there. And I could have done it with this one. The biggest problem with them is they're so small that when you try to do this bit and turn them inside out, right way round, it's a fight because it's so small. And it just dawned on me 2 weeks ago, I could do it the other. Yeah, I could have done it with this one too. But I thought about it when I finished the other one. I thought, I want to sew them up the same. I don't want them looking different. Not that anybody would ever notice, except I would. I'm just putting a bit of stuffing in the sleeve. Want it firm, but not too firm. So I just kind of just gauge how it feels as I'm doing it. Can use scissors or something. I found my little scissors. They're easier to use than the big ones. I mean, they weren't really lost. I just put some yarn on top of it, and when I moved the yarn looking for something, scissors. I find these ones easier to handle really, but either's fine. Okay. Well, I should finish my coffee, shouldn't I? It'll be half cold now. It is half cold. Well, gotta stop while I'm thinking about it. And as I mentioned earlier, no, it's not Milo, it's coffee. Just a Milo cup. It's a cup, you know. This is just the little leg for the daddy pig that I'm making. Just checking that sun's not getting ridiculous. I've tried to stream today with the curtain pulled over a bit, otherwise I'm sitting in half darkness. And it needs a bit of warmth as the sun comes around. Pretty chilly first thing this morning. The cold wind probably still is. I'll out there to find out. Okay, so there's the leg. Now, there's the foot. I usually put the seam, well, always put the seam at the bottom. Not that it's a problem, it just, you don't need to be seeing the seam sitting on top. So you can hardly see it. So just going to sew the foot onto the bottom of the leg. If the yarn will stay in the needle. I have a funny feeling that I've done it again and I don't have enough yarn to sew it up with, but that's okay, I'll just get a bit more. Start to get a bit warm. That's good. Told you the phone was going to go. Just a moment, I'll get rid of them. Told you the phone was going to go. Warnings are like that. But never mind. Gone. Oops. Just put that stitch in where it doesn't look right. Well, I tell you what, it's starting to get quite warm. Might have to take this off. Just have short sleeves. But it was cold. No, I've no idea what the temperature was. And whatever the weather forecast thing said, it would have been wrong, because it's always colder than what it says on there. Likewise, when it's hot, it's always hotter here than it is on there. I don't know where they take that reading. Certainly not outside our place. Okay, so because I'm running out of yarn, I'll just fasten that off and put on some more. Okay. Black yarn. Won't need very much. Oh, hang on, I've got some more to do on the daddy pig's face, so I'll just cut a big piece. Oh my goodness, it is getting warm. One extreme to the other, but that's normal. It's very cold at the other end of the day again. That's normal too, especially in New Zealand winter, almost spring. Well, especially any day. Right, well that's better. Sew up this little foot, which is partially on this leg. made quite a few of these over the years. I wouldn't have a clue. 20? Something like that. Wouldn't have a clue. I can remember at one point having 4 on my market stall at one time. Oh, I have so many. I just keep making them, I suppose. They actually look quite good. There was quite a bunch of them sitting there. They were really quite impressive. I think that's probably one reason why I did it, because it looked really cool. Usually I've got one on the stall these days, except Pepper and George. I usually put 2 of those out, because they're the most popular of the Peppa Pigs toys. And I've usually got an extra one of each of the others somewhere, which reminds me, I've only got one Susie sheep. So I should do a Susie sheep one day. Susie sheep, if you don't know, is Peppa Pig's friend most of the time. They fall out from time to time. You know how kids do, well, everybody does, but kids do. I'm not going to talk to you anymore. All that rubbish. So I created the Susie sheep myself, based on the Peppa Pig pattern that is the Peppa Pig there. I wonder if I can find a picture of Susie sheep. I'm sure I can. And it took me a while, a lot of thinking, like I'm doing this now. I'm thinking of different things that I can make. I thought, now, I wonder if I can make one of the other Peppa Pig characters. Susie Sheep would make sense, because Susie Sheep's her best friend, you see. And if anybody's going to get recognised by children, which they do, oh, Susie Sheep, they go, so proves I've done a good job, looks like Susie Sheep. And I had to think about it, and I thought, right, well, most of it's easy. Her arms and her legs and her body are the same. Her ears are the same. It's just the shape of the face and the colours. So, you know, so she's white. She's got a pink dress, of course. And the little shoes were the same, so that was easy. So I just had to figure out how to do the head. So with a little bit of figuring out, because basically what I had to do, I mean, this is Daddy Pig, so this doesn't make sense, but basically what I had to do Susie Sheep is I had to not do a snout. See? Looks more like a sheep too. You're rightio. Kiwi's lost it. The pig looks like a sheep. But basically that's what I had to do. So I worked out how to, because you knit from this end up. So basically you get this far, and then you start figuring out how to decrease it, so you end up with this nice little roundy nose at the end, which I did. I wonder if Susie Sheep's on that table. I'm being nosy now, trying to see where that. That's the one. I'm just going to try and be smart. Sometimes being smart works, sometimes it doesn't. Hello, where did I go? Susie Sheep. Is there one on the table? Pretty sure there is. I'm just looking on my table here for Susie Sheep. She should be with the piggies. I can't see her. I think she's behind George. I think she's over there behind George. Damn. I'm going to show you a picture of Susie Sheep. I can find another one somewhere, of course. Never mind. I'm pretty sure I've still got a Susie Sheep. If I don't, then I need to make one. She's kind of cool. But she looks like the Peppa Pig. But she's got a more rounded face, and she's white. She's got a little pink nose. Very cute. So there we go. I've done that. I need to take that off the needle. I've got 2 needles. I could use 2, I suppose. But never mind. Keeping a track of one's hard enough. So I'm going to sew this leg on this Daddy Pig. Daddy Pig takes quite a lot longer to do, If you were here on my last stream, if you want to go back and have a look at my last stream, there's a bit of that yarn that's sitting there that shouldn't be there. If you want to go back and have a look at my last stream, I was doing Daddy Pig's glasses, and it's a bit of a drama because it's quite fiddly. So you make the eye, you make the little black eye, and then you do a embroidery tang stitch, lazy daisy. I don't know what the thing it's called. Anyway, you do that. I think it's a chain stitch, and round there twice, and then do the other bit. So that's all just sewn on with I was gonna say it's back stitch, but it's not. I just go round and then I go back and fill in the gaps, or I go across and then go back and fill in the gaps. I don't know, it's probably got a name, but that's what I did. It's still sitting funny. It annoys me when it sits funny, because it's supposed to sit right. I don't need looking funny. I need looking right. Why is that not? Ah, there we go. I'm just playing with the stitches to make it sit straight. So then the daddy pig has to have a mouth, which I do in red, and then the whiskers, which I'll put on shortly. Meantime, I'll put this leg on this one.
All this nonsense about coffee breaking you up. Yeah, what?
Trying to sew this on and get it straight. As I said, nobody else would even notice, but I like it exactly where it should be. Well, it's exactly as I can get it. And again, the toys seem to spend a lot of time upside down when I'm sewing things on them, or lying sideways, or need about 6 hands sometimes. So being able to hold them upside down is helpful. Just remembering I used to have funny conversations with the grandkids when they were a bit younger. Well, they're still young. I can still do it. About the toys complaining, I can't walk anywhere, I've got no legs. I can't hear anything, you need to put my ears on, all that kind of rubbish. That was a bit of a laugh.
They got that from Great.
I should do it anyway. Okay, there's that one. Sometimes they go on easy, sometimes it's a bit of a struggle. That one was easy. No particular reason, just sometimes you sew it on and you go, oh, that's wrong, you undo it. And, you know, that one went really quickly. There you go, Daddy Pig. Oh, that's so much better, thank you. Now I can walk properly. Oh, his head's a bit wobbly. He's a naughty Daddy Pig. I actually think I haven't stuffed it stuffy enough. But if you make him too big, you look silly. I think he might need some more stuffing. It might be too squishy. I think he's a bit too squishy. Yes, I've sewed them up, so putting more stuffing in means I've got to kind of break in between the stitches to do that. But I think I will. I think it's a little bit too squishy. So I tend to try and find an obscure place. Or in this case, I can see where there's an increase and it's got a little gap anyway. And I just shove it in with the scissors. Very rude looking procedure, but it works. Okay, shove it just between the stitches so that it's not damaging anything. And by using the scissors, I don't need to make the hole much bigger, and then I can just sort of smooth it over anyway. So there's a bit of stuffing, more stuffing in there. I'll do it a few times. The stuffing kind of squishes when you put it in there, which reminds me, I don't have a lot of stuffing left. Of course, all the toys get stuffed. Even without being told to. I don't have to tell them to get stuffed, they get stuffed anyway. Sorry, it just kind of occurred to me, I thought it was quite funny. Whoopsies. Yeah, I am going to have to tootle with that sorted out because I did compromise some stitches, which was stupid. No, I'm only cutting stuffing, not the toy. Panic not. No, I'm not actually going to pull it out. I've not quite shoved it in the same space, so it's looking funny. Yeah, I'll sort you out. Take that bit off. There's a hazard of doing it this way. You've got to be really careful to put it in exactly the same spot, or you can tell that you've done it. I'm just going to play with the stitches and put them all back in place where I'll sort of play with the stuffing. There's a bit of stray stuffing there, I'll sort you out shortly. Not the right way to do it, but I'm not going to undo it just to put more stuffing in. I wondered at the time I did it whether there was enough, and the answer is I didn't think so just then. I mean, it's fine, really. I just need it to be right. Well, in my opinion, be better. Here we go, just a little bit extra. I still want it fairly squishy because you still want it, you know, to be able to be held and hugged and squashed and stuff. Hello, Daddy Pig. Oh. Somebody said this is sculpting with a needle and stuffing. Yes, it is. I'm just taking some of the hollows out of his face. It looked a bit weird. I'm just thinking, am I sort of disappearing into too much? I think I might be disappearing into oblivion with the light. Might have to close that curtain. Now, what do we do? Oh, reminder. Need to do the tail. I have even put a piggy out on the table without a tail. How bad's that? And I was standing there minding my own business at market time, and I'm like, wait a minute, that piggy didn't got a tail. Sometimes stupid needle fell on the floor. Here we go. Sewing needle, knitting needle fell on the floor. Yeah. Sometimes I've got the colour with me. Depends what I usually take something. Well, almost always take something to knit or sew up or whatever. Last time, what was I doing? I was sewing up a mouse and a pukeka. And now I have to double check that they all get little prices put on them because they haven't all had little prices put on them because some toys I've only just finished. When I've done this, maybe I could show you a few of the ones that haven't had their prices put on yet. Doing another market stall this coming weekend. the same one that's in the photos at the top actually, and it's their 40th anniversary. So the market's been running for 40 years. There's a lady there who was there at the first market. She's still there. So I guess she's 40 years older than when she started. She does knitting, so some of the things she does are a little bit in competition with mine. Booties, baby jumpers and hats and stuff. But she does a lot of other things, different things as well. So having said that, the baby things she does are quite different than mine, although she does have a few booties that are similar that I've got to a couple of pairs that I've got. But we're not really in competition. And between her and her friend, they also make, what do they call them? I'll tell you what they are and then we can figure out what to call them. Table umbrella type things. It's like a little umbrella, you open it up and it can sit over your food, keep flies and whatever away. But it opens like an umbrella. It's kind of cute. She sells a lot of those. Some of them are really big. I saw her selling one last time I was at the market. Tell you what, it would be well over a metre or a yard. This is only 3 inches difference. 1.5 maybe? It was huge. A great idea to cover a table. And you just kind of open it like an umbrella and close it like an umbrella. Very cute. I haven't looked at the prices of it, but she makes them for 6, 8, 9, 2, 4, 6, 8, 9. So I need 10 rows of this. Pulling out a bit more yarn. No, I need lots of yarn. No, that's not right. I need 37 of these. This is the tail. I was thinking of the foot. So yeah, I need 37 rows, so that'll take a little while. And at least it's just knit a row, pull a row. I don't have to think too much about it. So depending how long this takes and how long I stream for, I'm looking at making a hat, an adult size hat. I would have used black, except I know I don't have a big enough black ball left. So I'm going to use light blue. This one. And the hat I'm looking at making is the one that's right there in the picture. That one. For some peculiar reason, completely unknown to me, it's called a gingerbread hat. I've taken it off the internet. I've printed it just for my own ease of being able to knit it. Although I could do it on screen as well. I just thought this morning, actually, when I was outside and it was cold, ooh, I could do with a new black hat. And I thought, although I haven't got black. Okay, well, we'll find a colour I do have. So I do have to go get some stuffing sometime, so I will grab whatever brand is cheapest at the time. Black doesn't matter. This one has to be this brand. It's called Stallion now, but it used to be called, can't remember. I've changed their name, don't know why. What if it tells me on the back? Blah 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 blah. No, it's exactly the same yarn. That's how I know they've changed their name. No, not got a company name or anything on it. But it didn't used to be called Stallion. It had a different name, but it is definitely the same yarn. And I always buy that one. So I've actually got two. I've got another one because I knew I was going to be making some piggies. I also use it for the colour of the faces of some of like the little dollies that I make. Sometimes those little teddy bears that just disappeared. Sometimes they are that colour. My nativity set that's sitting there, sometimes I make their faces this colour, sometimes I make it a slightly brown colour because I figure that the wise men in particular it said they came from the east, so they were possibly of a browner coloured skin. So put a couple of brownie coloured ones in there. People can pick and choose what they like. Don't usually make a jumper or a hat or things out of this colour, but I could. It's a nice pink. So yeah, I'll pick up some black. If it's marked down, if it's not, I'll go back to the $2 shop. Because black is black is black. Although that's not true. If you've got more than one black, you can't put them together. That's with the same one. It's strange that there's black and black. They're not the same. Depends who makes them, obviously. Now this tail is a lot bigger than the Peppa Pig one. Well, it's 1.5 times, because that's how I did the pattern. 1.5 times the size of the Peppa Pig. That's how I created the Daddy Pig. It's all based on a pattern that I did buy copy from the internet. Pretty sure it was a free one. Not sure. Must have been, otherwise I wouldn't have been able to find it out. And I made the Peppa Pig by making the pig's pattern smaller. I made the George Pig by doing a Peppa Pig without a dress and making him slightly smaller than Peppa, just a little bit. I created the Mummy Pig by making it the same as Peppa Pig, but more stitches, more rows, different coloured dress. The Daddy Pig, likewise, I created it from the George Pig, Peppa Pig, both sort of without a dress, obviously. The correct colour, and I figured out how to do the face. I mean, I followed what Daddy Pig looks like, of course I did. But I worked out how to make the face and stuff. So it's kind of my pattern, but based on something else. So I already have one Daddy Pig on my market stall, but I sold one at that market that's actually in the photo. So I thought, right, somebody wants to buy one and I don't have a spare, then there's not another one for somebody to look at. So I try and have, of these pigs anyway, at least 2. So that if one sells, the other one's available. Particularly around Christmas, which is not yet. Just thinking to myself the other day, it's probably time to be looking at Christmas knitting. Where coming into September, so September, October, November, 3 months and 3 weeks, 4 weeks maybe, because of this week. It's all a bit much, isn't it? But I don't think I need to do any actual tree decorations. I'm just looking over there where the tree decorations are. I think I've probably got enough of those for now. Might make a couple more knitted Christmas trees, perhaps. And maybe a couple of the little wreaths. They're pretty cute. But I do, as you've seen in the little photos here, nativity sets. I do big sets, like lots of people. And I will do just a basic set of Mary, Joseph, baby manger. But some people like the wise men and the shepherds and the donkey and a couple of sheep. What else is it? Oh, there's an angel. Donkey, sheep. Oh, camel. Some people like 2 camels, some people like 1. I just basically build it up how somebody wants it. And just charge per piece and they decide what they want. And then there was the lady who wanted the cow. I thought to myself, okay. They were dairy farmers and she said there could well have been a cow. I thought, rightio, we'll make a cow. It's fine. Awful thing to do. Difficult to do. Anyway, I was reasonably happy with the result and she was absolutely delighted with the result. She was in the States and I mailed them off to her. I think it was the same person that I made 2 hats for as well. I think it's the same person. Anyway, I have made 2 hats to order, which was difficult because she wanted exactly the right colour and exactly this. And one hat had plaited blonde hair down the sides, and the other one was for a little boy. Was had sort of a mock moustache beard thing I guess it kept them extra warm. If it wasn't the same lady, I definitely did it for someone. I think it was the lady with the cow. Mostly sell if I sell online to friends and relations who can see my stuff that I post. And to the market, and at the market. How many rows have I done? Well, I know it's not enough. 25 maybe? Thereabouts. Just decided I was fading into a shadow, so perhaps I should close that curtain. Just the sun's coming from that direction. It was a cold morning, it was nice to have the sun. It's a bit warmer now. .28. So I need 9 more. I need 37. This is the tail. It's quite a long wiggly tail. 29. Oh, fancy seeing you. Being very quiet stream today. Talk to myself. Now I've lost count. And how are you today, Frenzy? I did see you briefly, as you know. When I had hopped on very briefly this morning before going up the road. Tell you what, it was cold out there. The cold wind. Very unamusing. Lovely sunny day now. Oh, hello. Just looked out the window. Somebody's put some clouds up there. They weren't there before. But they're just nice white fluffy ones, so that's okay. Don't think it's meant to rain for a few days now. Go count again. That's the tail for the daddy pig. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 3, 4. 3 more. Why are you sore? What have you been doing? Or is it just an illness thing? Because certain illnesses, of course, will make you sore. Okay, one more row. Okay, so you help put the carpet down, or you put the carpet down? One thing I have no idea. Well, I have an idea, but I could never do. Okay. Look, from your scissors, I knew they were right here. So I'll keep a link here because I'm going to sew it up. Put my knitting needle over there. Find out what on earth I did with my needle. I've done it again. I'm really good at that, eh? Did I stick it in the piggy? No. That's the first time today I've lost my needle. Oh, there it is. I shoved it in a bit of yarn so I wouldn't lose it. So the tail for the daddy pigs in them are a bit bigger than the pepper pig, so I do stuff it just a little. The pepper pig one is small enough that it doesn't need stuffing. It's firm enough without that. Quite cool to be able to do things around the house when I have the foggy station on most things. Building and repairing wise, not the foggiest nation. I'm just sewing down the end that I've gathered. So I'm going to do this on the right side. And I will try and stuff it as I go, because I know from experience that it's not so easy later. So just sew the edges together, and as you sew them together you pull it tight and it makes it curl on purpose. Also, I've discovered if you take bigger stitches instead of doing them close together but do them a bit further apart, when you pull it, it pulls tighter and curls better. Frenzy says, remove everything out of there, why not? I won't let the carpet and the padding, I'm not sure all the status about it. I sort of got all the stuff back in there. Okay. Oh well, that sounds good. Carpet's a bit of a drama, I've only ever had carpet lay once, apart from a brand new house that we had built years ago. Long time ago. I had to replace carpet in one of the houses because it got a burn mark in it. A very large burn mark. Somebody did something silly, wasn't me. Fortunately, insurance covers certain stupidities. Does it cover acts of God, so-called, like, water flooding somewhere, unless it was caused by a leak or something, but insurance sometimes covers stupidity, and this time it did. So because what had happened made a big hole in the carpet, we were able to replace the whole carpet in that room and the dining room, because it was one room. I did inquire at the time, could we please put down a different floor other than carpet in the dining room? And they said, no, we have to replace like with like. Well, that was just silly, because the other thing would have been cheaper for them, but never mind. Nowadays, I find some insurance companies are a bit more lenient, especially if it's going to save them money. Okay, so I'm going to start putting a little bit of stuffing in it while it's that big. See how it curls? So that was a big drama doing that carpet, I remember. We had to empty the lounge and dining room into the hallway, which was a challenge. I think some of it probably ended up in a bedroom as well, because it was all laid at one time, so that was useful. That was a few years back now. The good news was I had been working at a carpet manufacturer in the office, and I was able to whistle up one of the guys who was a sales rep there, and he was prepared to try and find me some carpet at a reasonable price, because I knew the other guys in the company too, because the one we'd worked for had gone into liquidation. So anyway, it worked out well. Plus it was all on insurance anyway. But I was able to whistle up the colour I wanted. I knew I wanted greys and browns, hide the dirt type colours. I knew I wanted loop pile, and I knew I wanted wool. So I was able to get that, which was very cool. Okay, so just putting it through. See, this the way you sew it, it makes it curl. It's very cool. Very clever. So be careful with the stuffing though. You put too much in and you lose some of the curl, I discovered. It's just a little bit to pad it out anyway, it's nothing major. Could have done with a bit more curl there actually. So I might retrace my steps just a little and pull that last bit tighter. So if you ever need a wiggly tail for something, there's how you do the wiggly tail. You pull it tight as you're sewing it up. I'm just undoing a few stitches and I'm going to pull it tighter. Maybe make the stitches a bit further apart. That means when you pull it, it pulls tighter too. Just don't want to undo lots of them. I don't need it to have a wiggly tail. You finished your painting? Cool. You mean that little thing you were painting the side saw this morning? I'm just going to redo that little bit and pull it a bit tighter to make it feel more. Somebody make us coffee. So I'll get some more coffee in my Milo cup. Why not? Okay, so you know what you're talking about and I don't, so I'll ask the question. The painting you're talking about, is that saying you finished the thing you were painting this morning on stream? Or are you talking about painting rooms? I got lost there. Or is what you're going to do to the other rooms carpeting? See? If you read it without the thought that you had, you finish the painting, you've got 3 more rooms to do. That could mean you're painting rooms, or it could mean you've got 3 more rooms of carpeting. See my thing? See? Okie dokie. Sounds like a big job. Rather you than me. So is Mayhem going to get me involved in this painting happening? Or is it something you've got to do? Makes me tired just thinking about that lot, Frenzy. Hope he's paying you well. You know? Yeah, no. Yes, dark paneling. I can make it dark. Well, that's all very nice. Likewise, I guess. Right. Now, you haven't seen the daddy pig today, I don't think, friends, because I've been busy doing the tail since you got here. Get ready with stuffing. There's the daddy pig. Wrong green, but it looks right on the screen there. But it's actually a bit greener than that. It's a bit too green. But it's pretty close. And pretty close is what matters. So today I've just put on a second leg. Can't remember which one it was. That one, I think. I knitted the leg and I knitted the foot. Did them, put them on. Yesterday I was making, well, the day before actually, I was making the piggy. He's got part of his face. He needs a smiley face and some whiskers. But at the moment I'm going to put his tail on, see? No tail. Now, where is this going to go? About there. Give it take a bit. Just make sure it's on the back seam and then I know it's in the right place. Just sew it around. Oh, daddy big. Yeah, he is pretty cute. Okay, so there's the tail. Sometimes when I sell them in a whole set. Somebody will come along, particularly around Christmas time when people are gathering together presents for their kids and stuff. I never understood how some kids get so many presents. Just ridiculous. And the other thing is they expect it now. Just ridiculous. Okay, there's the wiggly tail thing. Cool. Now what do you need, Daddy Pig? You mean what do I need? I can't even talk, got in the mouth. Okay, well we'll sort the mouth first. Oh, do a red smiley mouth. Put the needle down without even blooming looking. Just to, I need to stop doing that. Now, bit of a guess to get it about right. So I've got to put his whiskers around it, but I always put the smile on first. Then I can position the whiskers around it, but then I've still got to make sure that it's in approximately the right place so that I can put the whiskers around it. So I'm just putting this little smiley face on the daddy pig. Only thing I really got to be careful of is to make sure it's reasonably symmetrical or it's stupid. No? Or something. can see the yarn there, and I shouldn't be able to. So I'm just putting some stuffing over it on the inside. But don't look silly. I hope it don't look silly. Get in there. No, it does not go there. We need a speaker, that's the one. I was saying earlier on, used to have, well, I still can with the girls, they're young enough, have silly conversations like, what's wrong with Daddy B? He can't talk. All that stuff, you know. Bit of nonsense. When they were quite young, I used to say, now what's missing? That was a whole big game just in itself. Oh, he needs this, and he needs that, he needs the other. Well, what are we going to do about it? You left the meat, son. Yeah, all that kind of rubbish.